Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today's cards are going to be honeybee themed, and I'm using Spellbinders Clear Stamp and Die of the Month Club kit for January. This set is called Just Because, and I'm starting out by creating some backgrounds for both of my cards. I'm cutting up 1/2-inch strips of cardstock using yellow, black, and white. And then I'll be attaching these to a piece of lightweight printer paper. Now you could do your strips different widths, and that looks really cute. But for today's card, I'm just keeping it simple by cutting them all out the same width. I'm using my Spellbinders new paper trimmer for this. However, if you had a guillotine trimmer, it would probably go a little bit faster. But now let's cut out some yellow strips. And this is all very heavyweight cardstock from Spellbinders. I haven't done this technique in a long time, and it's a really fun one to do. So my panels are 5.5 by 4.25, and this is a piece of lightweight printer paper I have here. I'm going to add a lot of dot liner to this. I'll cover the whole panel with the dot liner. And then I can start attaching the strips of paper. So I'll start with a strip of black, and my first panel is just going to be black and white. And I'm trying to make sure I butt up each piece right next to the piece under it. And I do get a little off kilter here. As you can see at the top, there's a little sliver of white, but I do go back and I fix that. There was a gap kind of near the bottom, but it was easy to do with the tape runner. It peeled up pretty easily. The next panel, I'm going to do black, white, and yellow. And this also creates some fun texture for your cards. You could also use liquid glue to attach these. It might give you a little bit of wiggle room when you're putting these down. I prefer the dry adhesive, especially when I'm using printer paper. So let's start out with card number 1. I'm going to use the black and white background, and I did fix that little gap in the panel. I have a piece of yellow cardstock that I'm going to use a border die on. This set is called Winter Borders Etched Dies, and I'm using the one that has the double lines of faux stitching. And I just want it to go down the right side of this card. It looks so cute, all these little details. I'm going to put these panels away for just a minute and stamp out a sentiment as well as some of the images from this stamp set. I'm stamping out 2 of the bees, a honey pot, and the sentiment that says, "Happy Birthday." This is a piece of Express It cardstock, and I used some Copic-friendly inks to stamp this out. And I'm going to do some quick and easy coloring. I'll start with the cute honey pot. I'm putting down some dark yellow Copic marker for this, just along the edges. These images are really nice because they have lines to indicate where to put your shading. I'm just following along the lines on the edge of this honey pot, and then I'm pulling out the color with a lighter yellow, and I'll leave a yellow highlight going down the center of this honey. I'm going back with a dark marker again just to reinforce the shading. And then I want the bees to be colored in just very simply. So I'm using the same yellow Copic marker and coloring in their yellow stripes. I'll bring in a really pale blue marker for their wings. I'll use the same blue marker on the glass of this honey jar. I want the cloth on top of this to remain white, so I'm adding in some gray Copic markers for a little bit of shading. And then the little tie around it, I'll use the dark yellow for this. So very simple coloring. And I love how they have the coordinating dies. So I'll just use those to cut out these images, as well as the sentiment. And I will tape these in place before I run them through my Platinum 6 machine. You can also buy this kit or club without the coordinating dies if you prefer just to fussy cut them out or use your brother's scan and cut to do that. So I cut down my yellow cardstock and I'm going to glue that to the left of the panel. I'm going to pop up all of my images with some foam squares. We'll start with the sentiment down at the bottom. This will give the honey pot something to kind of sit on or anchor it in place so it doesn't look like it's floating. And then the honeybees I'll put up at the top. I'm going to add a string of black and white baker's twine between the yellow cardstock and the black and white striped cardstock. I'm taping that on the back. And then I'll tie a little bow in the middle of this. I'm going to put this under the string and just tie a little knot where I want the bow to go. Let me cut this twine down to size first, and I can tie a knot. And then a bow. I fuss with this bow a lot, so I do cut out a lot of this footage, but here it is, all done. And then I can flip this card over, add some glue to the back. I'm going right over the string and the yellow tape. I'll attach this to a top folding white card base. This whole piece was a little bit smaller than I thought it was, so there is going to be a sliver of white cardstock on the left, but that looks kind of intentional to me, so I just let it be. And then I'm going to add some black enamel dots around this panel. This card would look really cute with some glossy accents over the glass honey jar. Might have to go back and do that. But here it is, all done. And let me give you a close-up look. You can see how cute these images are. It's such a fun little birthday card. I know exactly who I'm going to be sending this out to. I have a January birthday coming up. And for card number 2, I'm going to start out by wiping down this panel with a baby wipe and putting it in the 3D embossing folder. The baby wipe helps to moisten it so that it doesn't crack when I run it through my Platinum 6 machine. These 3D embossing folders provide a lot of detail and a lot of dimension. And here it is. I love how that looks with the striped panel. This is the 3D embossing folder for January that I used. And this folder is called Efflorescent Flora. I'm using some white ink to bring out the pattern a little bit more. Look how pretty that looks. And then I'm going to attach this to a piece of black cardstock. This dot liner I just purchased at Michael's, and it said dot liner on it, but I didn't realize the dots were so enormous. I'm having a lot of dot liner or tape runner problems this month. I ordered some from Spellbinders when they were on sale, but I'm still waiting to receive those in the mail. So I'm just trying to make do until I get my favorite Spellbinders tape runner. Next, I'll attach my striped panel on the black cardstock. And for my sentiments, I pulled out some of my favorite oval dies from Spellbinders. They're called elliptical ovals. They have some gorgeous lace scallops around the edges. I cut it out with yellow and then again with black. And then I'll pop this whole piece up with some foam squares and center it on the card. I'll attach another black and white baker's twine bow at the top of this oval, and I'm going to put a glue dot behind it as well as some liquid glue. Just press that into place at the top. Off camera, I stamped and die cut some florals and another honeybee and quickly colored them in with more Copic markers. And then I'm going to pop these up around the sentiment. I'm using liquid glue as well as some small foam squares, just so it's the same height as the sentiment oval. I'll pop up the bee as well, using more foam squares, or actually just one large foam square for this. And then I'll add some more of the cute black enamel dots. And then this card is done. And of course, the sentiment says, "Thanks for being so sweet." So it's such a fun little thank you card. Here is a close-up look at that. I love how the white ink really brings out the pattern on the 3D embossing folder. I used some leftover scraps for the inside of the card. This is a fun little stamp and die set to play with. I'll have links for everything listed in the description box. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you were inspired. Take care, my crafty friends. Bye.